Okay, this is the last of our planting. We have some damaged elephant garlic bulbs here, and so they were like partially rotten or whatever, so Andrea cut them out and we're going to plant these. We wanted to plant them separate to see how they do. We had planted some this year and they did okay, so we're going to do it again. These here is our Creole garlic. These are our super spicy garlic. And then the rest of these in here is all Parisian Star, the jumbo Parisian Star. So we're going to plant these real quick, and then either today or tomorrow, one of the two, we're going to mulch. And then I'm going to start talking about the hay, because there's the hay bales right there. And then there's everything that we have mulched already. From the time we had finished mulching all of this, it rained for like 2 days. It was like a real light type rain, heavy mist type rain. Rained just over an inch. So it was a good soaky rain. The hay has compressed down, which is good because that's what it's supposed to do. So let's plant this and then we'll come back. Okay, it's the next morning now. All of the damaged garlic got planted here. All the Creole got planted here. This is in row 7. Andrea is going to be planting this morning carrots and beets. That's for us, that's not for selling. In row 7 over here. And then row 8, where that yellow flag is, all the way over to here, is the Parisian Star that we planted yesterday. And so we also planted, or I should say transplanted. Let me go over there real quick. Okay, we also transplanted 54 garlic that were coming up, that were growing over where we had the garlic last year. And so it's basically free garlic, so why not transplant it, put it over here with the rest of them. And then yesterday, while I was transplanting the garlic, I saw that the garlic is starting to come up that we planted a couple of weeks ago. Like there's a couple of there's some over there, etc., etc. And so everything so far is coming good. Now the main part of this video is I want to talk about our hay. And the first year that we did garlic, we did straw bales. We found somebody that did a big 4x8 brick straw bale, where it's 21 two-string bales, and then it gets combined into one big super bale, so it's like 4x8 and it weighs like 1,000 pounds and all that type of good stuff. Well, we used that straw that year, and that was straw that was directly out from the field. That was not straw that had been sitting around for a while. We used that straw, and we would bring the two-string bale over, and then we would distribute it and yada yada yada. And I would get between 4.5 and 5 bales per row using the straw. And so then last year, or was it earlier this year, I can't remember, Andrea went on Facebook Marketplace and she found there was some guy that was cleaning out a barn of his, and he had a whole bunch of spoiled hay. And spoiled hay is what we got here, where the hay's obviously still perfectly good. It's just not able to use it for animal feed anymore because it's brown and not green. But for mulching purposes, which is what we need it for, it's perfectly fine. And so we ended up getting, I don't know, it was like 25 of these bales that were like 5 years old that were in a barn. And so we used them over here in our garden area this year, about where Andrea is right now. And so that ended up working really well. So then we were like, if you get the straw bales currently, now this is as of early November 2025, the 2-string straw bales are about $7 a piece, depending on where you get them. And 2-string hay bales, which are the same size as the 2-string straw bales, are between $7 and $9 a piece, depending on where you get them. Now, that's fresh hay that's intended to be used for animals. But then we found that if you can be able to handle it, you can get big bales of hay. And when I mean big bales of hay, I mean if you go out in the country and you see the big round bales, most of the time that's hay, and that's what these are. And so that's basically, that's a standard, it's one of the standard size hay bales where it's about 5 feet in diameter and it's about 4 feet high. When I mean high, I mean based off of this side here. So it's about 4 feet this way and about 5 feet in diameter. Well, I was doing some simple math, and simple math said that that's about 80 cubic feet, 80 to 85 cubic feet of hay that's inside of that bale right there. This bale was a little bit bigger. It was about 5.5 feet in diameter. And we got them from the same place. The person was selling the old bales of hay for $40 a piece. If you would have got a brand new bale of hay that could be used for animal feed, they were $65 a piece. Same size bales, just, you know, used for animals instead of hanging around. These were actually out in a field, and by the looks of it, they've been out there for several months to a year. Being in South Carolina, depending on what type of grass you're using for your hay, you can cut 2 to 3 times a year for hay. So I don't know how long those have been there. And so going by the math of about 4.5 to 5 of the 2-string bales per row, basically, and then each one of those 2-string bales is about 80 to 90 cubic feet, or no, the 2-string bales are about 5 cubic feet. The big bales of hay, the round bales, are about 80 to 90 cubic feet, depending on the actual size. And so long story short, each one of those big hay bales, if we go by using the same math, would do 3.5 to 4 rows. Our rows are about 80 feet long. And when you include the raised part and then the aisle in between, they're about 5 feet wide, where it's supposed to be about 2.5 feet a row, 2.5 feet of aisle. I was doing a little bit of drunk tilling. I say drunk tilling, it's where the tractor wants to go the way it wants to go, and it's not necessarily where I want it to go, and then it ends up getting a little crooked. So I just call it drunk tilling. And so you can see that, if you can see in the shadows, but you can see it here where they're kind of snaking around a little bit. So I just call that drunk tilling. And Oh.
We got 2 more garlic surprise.
Oh, Andrea found 2 more garlic, so.
And I found three sweet potatoes plants.
Ooh, and we might actually have some sweet potatoes this year. So, basically, with all that being said, one of those hay bales should have done 3.5 to maybe 4 rows. Now, as you can see, we have basically 6 rows plus this row over here. Now, the very bottom had not been done yet because we had a little bit of extra space, and that's where we're putting our transplant garlic. So let's just say that this spot here would equate to all of the end of the rows over there, just for simplicity purposes. So I have 6 rows that are on the ground right now. And going by the cubic foot math, we should have used 1.5 of these hay bales. Well, if we come over here, we got a total of 2 of these, because that's all that could fit on the trailer. And as you can see, the first one, or the one in the front here, this is still intact. The string is still on it, so we have not even cut the string on that one. And then this is what we still have left of that first bale. So we still have, I would say, 20% of this left. And so I'm thinking with everything we're going to be strawing today, we might not even get through this. We still might have some of this left. So you're talking about potentially 7.5 rows of this is going to be using just one of these bales. So for $40, let's say we'll just be conservative and we'll say 7 rows for $40, which equates to a little bit less than $6 a row for this mulch. Now, if we were doing this with 2-string bales with straw, it was going to be about, okay, if we were doing this with the 2-string bales, it was going to be about $170. So you have $170 worth, or $40. Now, let's say we couldn't find old hay like this and we had to use new hay. Well, then it would be $170 versus $65. So you're talking about that much of a difference in cost. Then, on top of that, that's only 1 hay bale. Now, the downside to this hay bale is it was a chore and a half to get this hay out. And Andre and I were fighting it for a long time. And so the downsides to these hay bales is, one, these things weigh like 1,000 pounds. So unless you have the ability to actually transport one of these things, or somebody could deliver it to you. So that's the first problem, is logistics. Second problem is ultimately I had to get the tractor out here with our pallet forks and stab into it in order to start breaking it apart, because it was just so tight in there we could like not get any of this hay out. Now, since then, we've obviously been able to get it out and it's been perfectly fine, but it is a little more tricky in order to get this hay out because it's so much bigger than a 2-string bale. But I mean, for the cost difference alone, I personally think it's worth it. Now, Andre and I are toying with the idea of trying to, in the future, build a contraption, maybe made out of caster wheels or something, where we can if we can get the bale off of the trailer, and then we can tip it over onto a contraption, and then we can wheel it around with either the lawnmower or the tractor. And so we're kind of toying with that right now to see if we can actually do that in the future, because we think if we can take that hay bale and flip it on its side, where instead of the flat piece being up like it is now, having the round piece being on the ground or on the bottom, then we can just unroll that thing like it's a cinnamon roll or something. And then we can go all the way around the thing, so we can just start at one point and just go around and just unravel the thing like it was a big roll of paper. So we think it'll be a lot easier for that. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about the hay for a minute, and how we're very, as soon as we can get the remainder of our logistics worked out, I think the hay bales, these big hay bales, are going to be the way to go. So I'm going to start with the doing the mulching now, and then we'll see where we're going to be at the end of all this. Now, while I'm doing all this, Andrea is over here, and she's planting beets and carrots right now. And so she's going to be trying a different method, which is including a cardboard box. So if she gets done before I get done, then I guess I can do a video on that. So let me quit yakking and start start mulching it up, and then we'll come back. Okay, there are a couple of things that I forgot to mention, so I'll do that before I forget again. Is one, the hay or straw, depending on doesn't matter which one you use, as it decomposes, it needs nitrogen in order to decompose properly. So it will, if you have it on a situation like this where it's mulching, then it will steal nitrogen from the ground in order to mulch. And then once it's decomposed, you get it back. So I don't know exactly how that works, but that's what they say. Last year, when we planted garlic, we had very little nitrogen in the ground to begin with, and we covered it with mulch. And so our garlic grew, but it did not bulb out the way it should have. And we're thinking is mainly because of the lack of nitrogen. And so we had very little nitrogen in the ground. We forgot to fertilize, and what little bit of nitrogen was in the ground was getting stolen by the decomposing hay and straw we had over here. So because of that, we ended up with, it was like 16 or 1800 of our bulbs did not clove out, which means that they were just one big bulb. Some of them were like the size of baseballs. Actually, a decent bit of them were. So under ideal conditions, those would have cloved out instead of being one big bulb. So what we did to rectify that this year, we're able to find a OMRI certified nitrogen fertilizer, which OMRI is the certification for if you do organic farming. We are not certified organic. We are certified naturally grown, which is like an intermediate between regular farming and certified organic. The biggest positive for it is you don't have to deal with the USDA in order to do it. It's a peer-to-peer certification program. But we do the same practices. So if you don't want the government involved in your farm, or you don't want to have to pay the outrageous fees that can come with organic, certified organic farming, then certified natural is the way to go. And I keep saying this, that one of these days, Andre and I will do a separate video on that. Mainly, I'm waiting on her. And so Andre is almost done with the beets right now. So that was the first thing I wanted to say, is that you're going to need up to 25 to 50% more nitrogen in your ground when you go to plant, because of the straw or the hay decomposing. So that's the first thing. So we put an inordinate amount of nitrogen into this ground. For garlic, for instance, you need 150 pounds of nitrogen per acre. That's pure nitrogen. That's not what's on the fertilizer. So if the fertilizer, if it says like a 1500, then that means that fertilizer mass is 15% nitrogen. Same thing with the other two, with the potassium and the phosphorus. So if you go to Lowe's and get like a 10-10-10 fertilizer, then it's 10% nitrogen, 10% potassium, 10% phosphorus. So if garlic needs 150 pounds per acre, then you have to divide out what the actual fertilizer is. So if it's 10% nitrogen, then you have to basically take that 150, multiply it by 10, and that's how much actual fertilizer you need of nitrogen in the ground. Then the other thing is, you put a certain amount of nitrogen, or we're okay on potassium, we're really high on phosphorus, so we're concentrating on nitrogen. Your soil conditions may vary. But with nitrogen, or with the other two, you put about half that you need in the ground when you plant. And then at least with garlic, you need to fertilize 2 additional times in the spring. And so it's half at the beginning, or 25% at the first feeding, and then the other 25% at the last feeding. And so then that's what we're going to do this year. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about was how much hay you actually put in while you're mulching. This goes with straw too. So it's how much hay and how much straw.
Okay.
All right. I have the gaiter on, and I have my protection on, because the hay and the straw can cut you, or if you're allergic at all, it's a bad thing. So I tried using the N95 mask, but I can't breathe with those, so we're trying the gaiter today, and it seems to work out pretty well. So let me grab some hay here. This is hay that I got off my master pile, and we put it in the yard cart so I can, well, so I can do it. So pretty much what you want to do is you want this to be really thick. So the intention on doing this is this will compress significantly, which I'll show you that in a minute. And so you put it on really thick right now, and what'll happen is, you can go ahead and pause it. Okay, so my rule of thumb is I look down, like I'm looking down vertical right now onto this, and if I can see anything down there, any ground down there, drip tape or anything, then as it compresses, it will still show. And at least in our area, if you have bare dirt, it will produce weeds at some point. So I like to get it thick enough to where I can not see anything below me. We do the same thing in the aisles as we do on the bed. Now to show you the difference is, let me come over here that I just did this morning. Okay, here's rows 1 and 2. Rows 1 was mulched 2 weeks ago. Rows 2 was mulched, I'd say about 9 days ago. So these were mulched several days apart. most importantly, it had rained since I mulched these two, so they look about the same now. Then this part here, where the transplanted garlic is, I just mulched this morning. And if I back up here, you can see a height difference between the mulching that we did a couple weeks ago or a week ago or whatever, and what I did this morning. And what will happen is between the day-night cycle and between if it rains or not, it will start compressing down. So that 6 to 8 inches that you're putting down, like I am over there right now, will compress down to probably about 3 inches or so, but it's going to be very sturdy. So like, I don't like walking on top of the hay after I do it because I feel it messes it up. But over here, because this is compressed down, I have no problem walking over this. And unless I'm shuffling my feet real bad, the hay will not move. And while I'm thinking about it, the other reason that hay and straw are nice, because they'll both do the same thing, is as we were putting this mulch down, we had probably good 15, 20 mile an hour winds the entire time we were doing it. Gusts were probably higher than that. And the second that hay or the straw goes down, then it stays put. And especially since the mulch that we did a week or two ago has been established, we could probably get 40, 50 mile an hour winds and it's not going to move. Unlike pine needles, where if you just sneeze on it hard, it'll blow away. And well, the other reason not to do pine needles is that pine needles are very high in acid, so their pH is very low, which might screw up your soil, where hay and straw is more neutral pH. And so basically, that's it. You can see the stuff I did this morning versus the stuff that was done a week ago. And it's going to remain pretty much exactly like this until we go to harvest, which is going to be in May of next year. So it's beginning November now, all the way until May next year, and it's going to look like this. For us, our weeds really don't start kicking off until probably about the middle of April. Up till the middle of April, the weeds are okay. And then once it starts getting warmer, they go from okay to out of control in about a week and a half. And so I kind of found that out the hard way the first year. So I wanted to talk about that. Then there was something else I was wanting to say. Yeah. And I forgot the most important thing with this hay or with the straw is that when we're done with it, it just gets tilled into the ground. So then as long as you have enough nitrogen in the soil, it will start decaying and then it will create a ton of organic matter for you. So all of this hay that we're putting down is going to become organic matter. And so when we're done with this for the season, we're going to put a cover crop like buckwheat or something on top of this. And then in the winter, we're going to put alfalfa on it. Then it's going to become really nice. And then we'll be able to continue to use this for the future. Now, next year, as of right now, we're kind of running out of room over here because next year, this is about 3,000 garlic that we're planting this year. Next year, I want to get to 6,000, which means it's going to be twice this amount of space, which is going to take up pretty much all of our existing garden area. And so we need to crop rotate. And so next year, at least as of right now, we're going to go into the field for the first time over there. So we're going to start prepping the field area so then it can start building its soil up, because this area has been farmed just like our area was that we have now. This was actually part of the farm field before we moved here. This has been farmed for well over 100 years commercially, and the soil is not in really good condition. So it's taken us a good 2 years to get to this point. We're hoping by babying it for about 3 to 5 years, we can end up with really awesome soil for planting. But what we're wanting to do now, until we can get our dream part, which is having a well and all that type of stuff back in the field, or a well in a greenhouse and all that type of stuff, then we're going to have 1 year crop rotation here where this is, 1 year crop rotation over here, 1 year crop rotation over there. And so Andrea just put her hands up, so I think she's done. So that means she can help me mulch. So anyway, I'm going to quit yakking now, but that is the all the benefits of the mulch that I can think of. And so now there's other ways you can do it. A lot of people, when they commercially do garlic, by commercially I mean they do more than like a few dozen bulbs, is they'll use plastic culture of some sort, where they'll use some sort of landscape fabric to keep the weeds down. We didn't want to do that for a lot of reasons, mainly because, one, you know, that's something that's an expense that's not going to be added into the soil that you're going to have to do every year. And then the other reason is, if you do any sort of plastic culture, it's going to be, you're going to end up with bits of plastic everywhere. And I know this plastic is supposed to biodegrade and all that, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, I do not want to have to deal with plastic pieces all over the place. Like the strawberry farmers around here, they all do plastic culture, and there's just little bits of plastic everywhere. And I just didn't want to have to deal with that. And you don't get to nourish the soil with the plastic where you do with the hay or the straw. All right, now Andrea is getting ready to do her big experiment here, so let's see what she's going to do with it. What she's wanting to do is she's wanting to take her box that she has here, and she wants to put it over the beets and the carrots to create like a little mini buffer until they start sprouting. Because the good thing with the beets and the carrots, if you do it right, then they will be able to keep the weeds out themselves, because they'll be so thick. And so she's doing now, she's trying to figure out how to get it down. All right. The thing that I'm concerned about is she has that box there, but she has all of this all the way down to right here.
And I still have that edge.
And she still has that edge over there. So I had a feeling that one box wasn't going to be enough, but I'll let her deal with that. So anyway, that's what she's thinking about doing. Luckily this week we've gotten packages, so there's a few more boxes inside, although I don't think that'll be nearly enough, but we'll see how she does. Oh, there's the other half of the box. So anyway, I'm going to quit yakking. I'm going to finish mulching the rest of this, and then we will get back. Okay, everything has been mulched now, and we actually used the entire rest of the bale, because there's the other one right there. And I was able to use the 5 2-string bales that we still had, that we got earlier this year, because those have been sitting in the carport for months now. And as you can see, the color difference between the round bale is the lighter color, and the 2-string bales were the darker color. Now this was 5 bales right now, and that's how much it covered. Versus all of this was covered by 1 of the round bales. So you're talking about $35 right here just in the darker portion versus $40 for everything else. So we didn't end up spending any money on this, but if we did had to pay for it, it'd be $7 to $9. So it's $7 per 2-string bale. That would be $35. And then $40 for the rest of this. So that probably shows you more than anything else the difference between the 2-string bale and the big round bale. And there, Andrea finished her carrots and her beets. So the theory is to have those covered with cardboard for about a week, and then in about a week she's going to start lifting them up to see if anything started sprouting, and then as soon as they start sprouting she's going to take them off, or at least that's the theory. All right, she just gave me a thumbs up. I guess thumbs up better than the finger. So there's that. So supposed to do some raining tonight, so that'll help even more. Andre did water these pretty good, because the purpose of this, I think, is twofold. One, it keeps moisture down in so it doesn't evaporate, and 2 is it helps with weeds, I'm assuming. And it's dark, and dark equals it can germinate better, I guess. Yeah, I already said that. So yeah, so dark, weed control, and moisture retainage. So we'll find out in a week or so if that actually works. And so that's it. Now, hold on. So I forgot to mention the 9th row here. This is going to be our onions, which is going to be planted in probably late January sometime. And we get the onions from, we still getting them from Dixondale?
Dixondale, or was going to do it from seed?
All right, Dixondale or seed. I don't trust the seed, so we'll probably try some of those and then get Dixondale just in case. So that's what the 9th row is. And the reason I did it now is because I didn't want to have to put the tiller back on the tractor. I didn't want to have to put the bed former back on the tiller just to do 1 row. So I just did it now. Plus we'll get to see how good or bad the weeds are actually going to pop up over the winter, because it's beginning November now. So the weeds are still going to come up, but they'll be a lot less frequent. So I think I'm done yakking, and garlic planting of the 2025 season is now done. And I did want to give the updated totals. All right, so the totals for the garlic this year are, we have 2834 of elephant garlic. That includes the 54 transplanted, plus there's 2 we got to grab over here in this mess somewhere. Andre found 2 more. Have a feeling we'll be finding more as time goes on, because they'll just start sprouting, and then as they do, we'll transplant. We still have a few rows back there that we can do, but as of right now, it's 2834 for elephant garlic. We have 50 garlic corms, which are over here. The only reason we planted these is because of this year, they ended up being completely shelled, and it was the naked garlic corm with no husk on it at all. So we're going to see if they're going to actually grow. Then we have a total of 39 of the Creole garlic. That is the super spicy hardneck garlic. And then we have, I think it was like 335 plus or minus of the Parisian star garlic. So the Parisian star garlic we tried when we planted last year, and we liked it, and we sold a few at the farmer's market. The farmer's market people seemed to like it, so we planted 5 pounds of them this year, which ended up being about 335. So that is our garlic total. And then at the end of row 7, which is the one where I'm at right now in the center, or no, not row 7, row 8, sorry. I get my rows confused. We're going to have about 103 or 104 green garlic that we're going to plant in December. And that green garlic is going to be for like spring onions type deal, where they don't bulb out. You just chop them up like you would spring onions, and it's a garlic taste instead of onion taste. So we did some of those this year. We did not sell those at the farmer's market because we weren't there at that time. But the people that we had them try this year and us, we really liked them, so we're going to try them again. Those do not command nearly as much money as a regular garlic, but the main reason I want to have them is to have notoriety while we're at the farmer's market, so we can be there longer. And so I figure if we're there longer, as in more weeks, then people will start getting used to us, and then it's like, oh, there's the garlic people that are there. So that's the theory, at least. So done yakking, garlic is done. Next up is probably going to be the turmeric, or it's going to be reorganizing the shed, one of the two. And so as you can see, let me zoom in a little bit because I don't feel like walking over there. The turmeric looks in pretty sad shape. The ones on the left, right there, at their heyday, they were probably at least 6 feet tall, the leaves, and a decent bit of them sprouted flowers. And so according to Andrea, that's not supposed to happen for another year or two, so we got to have them early. And then lastly, Andrea wanted me to mention it. We did end up with a couple of sweet potato plants over here, so we might have a couple of sweet potatoes. There's a couple more garlics we got to get. And then these are our baby leeks that we planted when we planted all the other garlics and leeks, but they were really small. And so we transplanted them over here, and they've been growing all summer long. So before it starts getting too cold, we're going to harvest these, and then we can make some more potato leek soup out of them. Because we still have some of the potato leek soup that we made from earlier this year. And then we might be having some more
there's one more
zucchini
growing.
Oh, yeah, there's a zucchini growing right there. So that, I think, is it. Celine Dion is complaining behind me like she always does.
There's two sweet potatoes there, and then there's one in the next row behind.
Right. Now, the reason why this was actually part of our garden for the summer, and the reason it looks like this, is two reasons. Is one, this mulch here is a year old now, as in it's been in this spot for a year. This is where we had the garlic last year. So with the undercutter and everything, we kind of destroyed all of the mulch. And we we were anticipating that the sweet potatoes and the watermelon were going to cover it and keep it from doing this. The deer ate most of the sweet potatoes before they got started, as in the plants, and the watermelon were going really good, and then we had a bunch of torrential rain and it just destroyed all the watermelon plants all at once, and then this happened. All right, Andrea keeps finding garlic, so like I said, we're going to keep finding garlic, and as we do, we'll just transplant them over there. So I think that's it. Planting ended up being pretty good. And I think once we refine getting the hay out of here, then I think we will have this be easier of a time. Like I said before, the main reason is these bales are so compact. It's really hard when they're like this to actually get the hay out of them. So I think if we're able to tip it over, have it on its side on a pallet or on something, then I think we'll be able to do it better. So I'm actually going to be doing that this afternoon. I think potentially, I think I'm going to try to see if I can spear into this thing, pick it up with the pallet fork, because we don't have a hay spear. And then we will see if I can pick it up and then move it and get it onto a pallet. Luckily we have a bunch of pallets right there. So, all right, done yakking.